What is one mixing tip nobody is talking about? Now, I had a good think about this one, and there is one that I never hear anyone talk about, and nobody ever mentions this one thing that does make a big difference. Now, what it is starting every plugin has what I call a clean template. Now, what I mean by that is, if I load a plugin, so a plugin loads up, before I start using the plugin, I always create what I call a clean template for that plugin. Now, what that is it's a clean template that when audio is passing through it, it affects the chain in no way, shape or form. So it's clean, it's completely transparent, goes through, doesn't affect. It might as well be on bypass. But the reason I do this is, let's take, for instance, the Ampex ATR 102. Now, when you pass through that, what happens on any setting is that it will change the sound in some way. Now, what you don't want is the sound to change in any way from where you're starting from. Then what you can basically do is, that's your clean template, develop from there. So, for instance, things like an EQ, have it set up how you want it to be to start from, and it's what I call a clean template. So things like a compressor, I have this clean template that has the threshold is down, so it's not affected in any way. The iron for the air bass, for instance, is off, and that can be switched on. So it's never, it's by being active, it might as well be in bypass. Now, the reason this is good is that, let's say you've got a chain that's set up of 10 plugins. Now, you're passing through that and you've got 10 clean templates on there of these clean templates of plugins. The audio that goes through isn't being affected, or is very minimally being affected by the time it gets to the end. So it's not changing in any way until you start changing the parameters. Now, what I see a lot of people doing is they'll have these kind of chains set up, and they won't have clean templates, and what's going in is different to what's coming out, but which isn't correct, because you want that sound to go in, come out the other end without being affected until you start affecting it. You don't want it to be making any changes within any plugins. So this is the one thing I never hear anybody talk about it, and it's really important, especially for me. And it's something that I've done for many years, and I've never actually spoken about it, but it is something that seems so minor, but it really is something that should be done. And like everybody's probably opened a plugin up, put a plugin on something, and it's, you know, the start patch that it opens up with affects the sound. So if you create clean templates for each sound from the get-go, when you open that plugin, it instantly loads that clean template, which is basically like what we would call like a default, but the defaults aren't always correct. The defaults aren't always right. What the kind of plugin manufacturer sets as a default is colored in some way. It some way changes the sound. It's not clean. It's not transparent. It doesn't pass through as if it's on bypass. So then instantly when you load your plugin, nothing's changed. You know, the threshold, if it's compressor, the threshold is all the way down. It's not up in any way, shape or form. There's no coloration. There's no kind of anything changing the sound. So that's one thing that I would highly recommend. As soon as you open a plugin, get a new plugin, what you do, first thing you do, create a clean template for it. Save it as the default. That is your clean template. And yeah, it'll really help you, because what goes in comes out the other end, totally transparent, doesn't have isn't affected by the sound in any way, shape or form.